thank you for being here. I'm sure that this training section will be very fruitful for everybody, and we are going to learn a lot. And also, we have worked very hard in this project to arrange this solution. So thank you very much for staying with us. First of all, you here see the agenda. We are in the second point in which we are going to introduce the project to you all. Afterward, we are going to start with the RenoZEB platform and workflow. Asier Mediavilla will from Tecnalia will introduce to you this. After the first morning break, you will have also Anne Ferreiro from SIPE talking about the RenoZEB software tool. We will have a lunch break from 1:15 to 2:45, and afterward we will have the last section with Alessandro Marcucci from FOCI, which will introduce to you the FOCI facade system. The last part will be my closure, in which we will open discussion if you want, but you can make your question during the presentation of everybody, and also at the end, because we have talked that we consider that the best option is having this technical or no technical question at the end or during the presentation. Each presentation, instead of waiting at the end, because afterward you forget, or it is better to open discussion also at the end. So we can use this methodology today. Now, let me introduce to you a little bit the project very shortly. This is a project that belongs to the Horizon 2020 Energy Efficiency Building call from 2017. It's going to last 48 months till August 2021. You can see the logos of the 19 partners that belong to this partnership. We have other number. We have 3 demonstration building, real one, and 3 virtual one in the project. Here you don't see the cubic building that is a building, a lab building in Tecnalia that we have used for the first test. And our proposal is achieving 16% of the cost reduction during the renovation process, 60% of a reduction of energy consumption after the renovation, 65% of time reduction during the renovation process. Why this project? As you know, the situation of renovation of building stock in Europe has been estimated 1.2% annually. According to the Horizon, to the 2050 target of the European Commission, we have to get a target, and for achieving this target, we have to manage it more than the double of this renovation. We are talking about 2.9. And why is this gap? The problem is because lay on the fact that the renovation, of course, is an expensive process. It's very complex. It's disturbing. There are problems for data interchange and management. There are errors. So these are the most important gaps we have found. Of course, there are more. And for this reason, the project would like to bring some solution for tackling this barrier. One of them is the hardware part, that is the plug and play facade, the modular, standardized, customized, cheap to install, and easy to install facade. You will see during the training section, but also a well-designed renovation methodology along with the cloud collaborative environment that involves all the stakeholders during the different step of the renovation, from the design to the monitoring step, and without forgetting the very important issue that is related to the property value. Property value building is one of the aspects that has been taken in consideration in this project as well. So the objective is unlock the near to zero energy renovation market through a systematic approach where innovative component, innovative process, innovative decision-making methodology have been brought into this project. We're going to create also guidelines for the stakeholders to take decision and carry on in the renovation activity. And always in the perspective of energy consumption reduction in the building during the renovation, but also mainly after renovation, reduction of costs and risks, and improve replicability and adaptability in different renovation buildings all over Europe, also considering the different part of Europe and climates of Europe. And very important again, considering the property value as a KPI to take in consideration, because it's one of the aspects that are normally not very much included or treated in the project. So the property value has to be improved accordingly, according to, for example, the budget and the other KPIs we will discuss later during the presentation. So this is more or less, I think, yes, my introduction. I didn't want to take a lot of time because the most important part is coming right now. So thank you very much. Have a nice day, learning day, and I hope that that this enthusiasm could be taken till the end of these days as well. Any question you can write in the chat, and we can discuss at the end of each presentation. Thank you very much all. See you later. Asier, is your turn right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michele. So if there are no more questions, I just take the floor of this presentation. So I will just try. Okay, so before beginning the presentation, you can see a poll, a questionnaire in your screen. You can access through Slido, and just it's some questions about how you see the renovation processes right now, and how you have to select the statements below that you think are more appropriate at this moment. So the thing is to identify which are the main barriers right now to have a really digital renovation workflow. So which are the barriers that hinder this process or hinder the users use these digital tools or digital models. So you have several options. You can select one or more, or the ones that you consider the most relevant. So the first one talks about the collaboration problems between actors, so the problems in the decision making, also the lack of information about the current situation, or the difficulties in digitalizing the current situations. Also a question about the lack of interoperability or integration between different tools, or even that many of the information is in paper or in other formats. And in general, other communication problems in general between the actors, or also with the client. So how to transmit the problem, the solution, and so on. So at this moment, it seems that the lack of digital information is, let's say, it's winning the poll. So it's something that many people identified as a real problem. Also, problems with collaboration, interoperability seems to be also important. So I guess that the number on top, 11, means that the people that already voted, 12 votes, so still people missing. At any time, if you lost your connection with the slide, I think that you can just scan again your code and enter again. So 13 votes. Any more? Yeah, definitely. It seems that to don't have digital information or digital models is one of the most important problems according to you. Okay, so we have already some relevant answers. So I don't know if you wish, we can just carry on with the presentation. So thank you all. So it seems that, well, it seems that all the problems mentioned to some degree are important, but definitely the lack of digital information and collaboration problems have been identified as yeah, the most relevant ones. So let's go on. So you will have more questions like this at the end of the presentation, and also in other sessions during the during the session. So yeah, okay. So that's a brief introduction about the RenoZEB platform. So linking to the presentation given by Michele, we can the statement of the problem is that the building energy renovation is a very complex and heterogeneous process. So it involves many actors, many different phases and tools, and not all the projects are equally they are not equal. So the building types, the building size is different. So it's very, very different projects. We can find very different projects. And RenoZEB decision-making methodology, what we have done is to provide a methodology focusing for the moment in residential buildings and how to make this process systematic and replicable, and with the aid of BIM-based tools. And to do so, we have developed a RenoZEB collaboration platform, which is like the backbone of the process, which provides the digital support during the whole process and the whole value chain, the different actors. So, well, I will just give you 3-4 slides because the main core of the presentation is to show LIB, the tool. So, but only some slides to support it. As we identify the platform, as we see it, we can see in 2 different ways. In the left, you can see the process. So there are different actors during time that they collaborate during planning phase, design phase, and different phases on the project. So this view of the platform is like a timeline of the process and an evolution of the information. And in the right, you can see the platform as a central point where different actors collaborate and put and take information in different stages. So there are like 2 different ways of seeing the platform. And this slide more or less represents the same thing. So it's in general how we, well, when we talk about BIM, we are talking about 2 different things. One is the process of the verb, really the ing. So it's like how to different actors collaborate in the management of a building during different stages and using different tools and different procedures for analysis, planning, fabrication, operation, and so on. And in the right, you can see the BIM as a repository, as a big database where all the information of the building is stored, considering both the geometrical and semantic information. So this can be very big or very small, depending on the evolution of the project and the needs also. So, but there are like 2 complementary ways of seeing the BIM processes. And well, the platform that we are going to see now, it supports both aspects. So considering the process, so the timeline, we support the collaboration between different actors during all the phases. So we support the creation and the definition of different phases of a project and to control the status and the progress of it and all the documents, models, etc. associated with it. We supported the definition and comparison of different scenarios with different KPIs and to allow the user to identify the most appropriate one. And also we support collaboration between users to send messages or issues and to control the priority of different aspects. And considering the BIM model itself, we have embedded a BIM viewer in the platform where you can upload BIM models in open formats, in IFC formats, and you can make different queries, visualize different topics of the model in different colors, and make all the analysis of the model you wish. And if we have also a district model, a simplified model of a district, we can also visualize it. We will see an example also about it. So what we support with these viewers is the collaboration and the interoperability focused on the IFC. Also, we will see later on with the presentation of Anne by Sipe, we will see that the different software tools which are outside the platform, tools that are currently used by professionals for different simulations analysis, can connect with a plugin to the platform and just download or upload the information. So the collaboration between users and also between software tools. So, this picture just I have put it here because it summarized very well the methodology that has been explained by Michele. So we have identified the RenoZEB methodology as a sequential as a sequence of different phases and steps that consists on different tasks or phases to carry out in different phases, in planning phase, design phase, and how which of the actors are involved in each of the phases and which information is identified. So this is the methodology, and now we are going to see how the platform just mimics or supports this view. So, and we are going to see it with a sample renovation workflow. So this slide more or less represents the same sequential view, but from the point of view of the platform. So how different actors can get to the platform and perform some actions sequentially and exchange information between them, take decisions, and this is more or less this from left to right is the sequential steps. So the different steps covered by the RenoZEB methodology and in the project, the planning and design phase, and finally also the management. Up to now in the construction phase, we are not supporting it yet in the platform, but it could be done also in the future. And also the different colors represent the different type of tasks or activities and how they are carried out. So there are some green things that are the ones that are done inside the platform. So definition of projects, collection of information, and so on, and visualization of models, etc. We could also support the introduction of different external tools in the platform as support tools, so that the platform could grow in the future with more functionalities. But we can see in blue that there are also external tools like a SAP Germ or SAP analysis tool that can connect to the platform and get information and send back information to the platform. So there are different ways of how different tools or functionalities can be integrated or extended in the platform in the future. Also, the platform can support external tools like the generation of models is done in external BIM tools, or the collection of information of documents is also some external tasks that then is introduced in the platform. But this more or less seems this represents more or less the process. So we are not going to explain step by step everything now in the platform, but we are going to see some examples on how this has been implemented. yeah, this will be back for the end. So now I will present the platform direct. Yeah, it should be working now. Can you see it right now?
Yes, we can see it.
How can I? Yeah, I will hide it right now. Like, okay, so well, this is the address of the platform is publicly. It's in the RenoZEB website. You can see the link and also some test user RenoZEB, so you can enter and test it. So I will, during the presentation, I will switch between this one and also a local version that I have in my computer. So everything I do, it will not mess up the information in the server, but I will go from one to another. So as you can see here, we have some introduction here, and well, in the help section, there are also some videos that you can see for different aspects. So how to make login, there are different user types, how to manage the KPI repository, etc. So with time, you can go and see it. And well, you can log in with different usernames. So go back to if we go back to the presentation, which is here, we have just seen that, well, this is the renovation process that we have just talked about. And you can, so, but we are going to see now a kind of preliminary phase about how to set up and configure the platform to serve for multiple projects. So we have also defined a kind of administrator and user to make all these steps. So if I log in as an administrator, I could potentially do everything. So create different users in the platform. So I could create users by giving names and so on. And what we want to see is how to manage the KPIs. So in the RenoZEB project, so initially this is set up to support the RenoZEB project. So in the methodology part explained by Michele, a list of KPIs have already been defined. So in fact, all these ones you can see here, they are listed in different categories for energy, social, and so on. Yeah. So at any time you could just, or well, in this case, the administrator could create any new KPIs or just configure or edit the different KPIs. Imagine that in the RenoZEB platform, these are the KPIs defined, but we have identified for any reason that for our building, it is very important to measure, I don't know, the number of thermal breaches, because it is a very important KPI for us. If the number is 5, it's very bad, and the number is 1 or 0, it's very good. So if there is a KPI that is not defined in the list at any time, we can create a new one. A unit, well, it has no unit in this case. It's so you have to say what kind of KPI, if it is a number of an option from a list or just text. In this case, it's an integer, a number. Well, this will be energy, and well, the granularity is if the KPI applies to all the building or for particular rooms. At the moment, we are only considering building KPIs. So, well, this KPI has been created here. We can at any time support all the information with additional documents or pictures. Or for example, to help the user understand what is a thermal breach, we could just upload a picture. So at any time you have, for example, if you click here in the KPI of thermal bridges, you see that there is one here. This number means that there is information associated. So in this case, it's a picture, and well, it could be a document, a PDF that tells you how to calculate or this KPI, everything. So it can be a document repository about KPIs and so on. We are also working in defining a list of products. So at this moment, well, these are the different renovation products defined in the project. But at this moment, we are not yet implemented the decision making based on this list of products. But these are the categories defined in the product. So we have defined the renovation products for constructive elements and for HVAC and so on. And well, the different products you have to are classified depending on the climate they are applicable or not, and the type of cost and CO2 emissions and so on. But at this moment we are not working yet so much in this platform with the products. Well, so we have seen the platform view as the administrator. So the administrator can potentially see everything and see all the projects defined and all the issues and so on, and additionally has this administration tab. But in general, not all the users will be administrators, or only one, and the real stakeholders in the project, so the project manager, the architects and so on, will log in as, let's say, normal users, and this admin tab will not be visible. The user only can see the projects that they are allowed to see. So in the case I have logged as well, an standard user, so when you log in, you see all the list of projects. At any time you can create a new one here. We can see it here later also. You can control if your projects are open or closed. So if you closed your project, in principle, there is no way to change the information. Everything is closed, so you cannot access to it, and you have to open again. So and when you open a project, wait a moment, you can click here just and enter all the project information. So when you enter a project, you will see in the left all the options related for the project. So the first that you will see is the list of users. So in this project, different users are identified. The one that I have used for login is the project manager, but also there are architects, manufacturers, and so on. And one important thing is the role, so the permissions or the role that I give or we can give to different users. So we can give the edition rights. So an editor can will have access to this kind of icons here to edit all the information or to manage all the information, so to upload, download things. And a guest will be just an invited user that will, well, I will just log in as, for example, the RenoZEB user is the RenoZEB is well, the username that we have received to log in here is just a kind of invited user in several projects. So if we log in, we can see the different projects that we are allowed to see. But it's not possible for this user to just to modify the information. You can download the information, see what is there, but no possibility to edit or delete the information. So that's the idea. Yeah, for example, well, you can also click in a map and select where the project is located. For example, the Durango demo is located in this plot here. Yeah, and one important thing in the project that you can do is to define your targets. So when we have explained that the administrator, we have seen that he or she can configure the dictionary, or let's say the database of KPIs that are supported in RenoZEB. Now, in each of the projects, what the user, well, usually the project manager, in collaboration with the building owner. So here in this step, what they have to do is to define the project targets. So which are the real KPIs that are relevant to my project, to click on them, to identify them, and also to give a target value, and also a way to score them. So for example, for energy consumption, we can say that target could be 50 kilowatts per hour, or well, it should be per square meter, but okay, anyway, or any kind of number. Then for comparing different scenarios and KPI, we allow also a way to score the values of the KPIs. So at this moment, this is done here in this text box somehow manually, but well, the idea is that, okay, we can have different KPIs with different values, some from 0 to 1 or 15 or 100, different units. One for these KPIs are kilowatts, these are degrees, so there is no way of comparing them. So a way to do it, to compare different KPIs, is to allow a score to them. So to reference all of them in a range from 0 to 1. To do so, well, at this moment, we do it in a simple way to assign a score by, let's say, by segments. So we have to put, well, if you click here, it is explained that this document opens, and it is explained here how to do it. So you have to put it here, the values, which means that you have to put for which values the score is 0, and for which value the score is 1, and all the values in between that you wish. For example, what it means here is that when the consumption is 100 or higher, the score is 0. When the score is 50, the score is or the consumption is 50, I score the building with 0.7, and if it is below 25, the score is 1, so that I can get a figure like that. Of course, the different KPIs can have different shapes. So some KPIs will be better if the value is higher, like for example, the percentage of renewables. If it is higher, the score is better. With the consumption, it's the contrary. And for example, with room temperature, well, the good situation if the value is around 1 point, and if you go further in one direction or in the other, the KPI scores worst. Also, you can have some discrete KPIs, like for example for certification. So this, when your building is ABC, you can give to different values different scorings and so on. So, well, once this set, what you have to do is to select the ones that are applicable in your project. You click on Save, and you continue. Then, where the real comparison is done is here in the scenario manager. At this point here, you can create as many scenarios as you want. For example, this is the current situation of the building, where also here you can click and upload the different information related to the current situation, or even add different issues here. So for example, the project manager can request to the architect this upload, and I have to select to which one, to Annie, which is to the architect. So I can, this one, to the architect. So I can assign the issue to please create the model with priority high, and well, I have not put a deadline, but I could do it also. And from here I can control all the issues also. Well, and you can control all the information related to different alternatives. And then there is the panel where you compare the scenarios. So what we have seen here is that in the targets, we have clicked on 1, 2, 3, 4 different KPIs. We have assigned a target value and some scoring. And we can have that for different scenarios, all the ones defined here. So this table here shows the different KPI values for each of the scenarios. So the 4 KPIs defined in different scenarios will have different values. And with these values, we make here the comparison. So, and you can weight the KPI that you consider the most relevant for your project. For example, if you consider that the priority for you is the total energy consumption, so to be the lowest as possible, definitely this one, which is the lowest, will win. So if we, if you make this very, very important or the only important one, well, this is normalized according to all of them. Some must weight 100%. We see that alternative 2 is winning and scores almost 1. So if the building appearance is what it is important to be as much beautiful as possible, so the excellent the excellent good looking building will win the comparison if everything goes okay. So so it should be, yeah. And well, the same, we can do the same with for water consumption. So this one is the best. So in this one, we see that this wins. Of course, you can have a mixed approach, so you can prioritize everything in the same proportion, or just remove one from the comparison, and so on. So that's the idea. Yeah, and anytime you create or you define a new KPI for the project, imagine that for at this moment, for I want also to compare the I don't know, yeah, the thermal comfort, which should be, I don't know which this percentage means, but imagine that the value is 20 and it's just a fake value, but no matter. If we go to the comparison table, we see that the thermal comfort has been introduced here as a new KPI, but of course I have no values to compare yet. The target. At this moment, all these values are introduced manually, so you could just edit here the values and say, okay, the thermal comfort in this current situation is 25, and for this and for the alternative one is, I don't know, it's 31. The idea with this is to show that this is valid for any decision making, but well, of course, in the future, we would like also to make these calculations, as some of these calculations as automated as possible. If you make some energy simulation or some cost calculation to these scenarios, that automatically these tools fill all the values in the table, and you don't have to do it manually. But for this demonstration, still it is done manually. So okay, now we have a new KPI, so we could even compare it, and yeah. Of course, the only scenario that will be scored properly is the first one, because the second one, because the other ones don't have any values yet, so they don't participate in this scoring. The same happens with the scenarios. If we now create another alternative, now alternative 6, a new alternative, then a new alternative has been created, but so we have now a new column in this table, but of course this table does not, or see, this alternative doesn't provide any value yet, because no value has been calculated, no models have been uploaded, and there is no information to calculate. But this is basically the idea. Well, the next thing that we will show is the the aspect of phases. So we have seen here in a previous slide how the RenoZEB methodology consists on different phases and tasks. So we support here an automatic, so anytime you create a new project, automatically it is created with this list of phases and sub-phases. And you could create, or you could, at any time in any of the phases, you could create new tasks or upload new information, or control the status. Okay, this phase is already finished, is in progress, and so on. The idea here is that it is configured initially to support the structure defined by RenoZEB, but in any project, we could create the one that we wish. Imagine that we have to adapt this structure to create a new final phase that is not initially considered, so we can just create or even assign the different starting or ending dates, or even create with this icon here child information. For example, I could create a child starts tomorrow, and okay. So we are able to create a hierarchy of, let's say, information within the project. So let's move on. Well, with the resources, it's more or less the same. So you can upload the different files in a project and here. So perhaps in the future we will just combine or merge all this information and to have a unique file structure for the whole project instead of having phases or resources or etc. in separated tabs. But well, for the moment we have different tabs. Anytime you upload a file, you can see different icons. For example, if the file is an IFC file, you see here the icon, and you can click here and view the model. We will explain later on how this works. Also, we support the introduction of georeference models, so KML formats, which are the ones used by Google, for example. So if you click here, automatically it opens a KML viewer of, well, the same building. So it's well, in this particular building is not located in a proper place, but well, it's just for explanation's sake, it's good. And well, in any case, for any of the building or for any of the files, you can just click here and download to your computer, or for some files, you could create new versions also, or delete and so on. Perhaps I will log in with the RenoZEB user that we have also given to you. And now we can see the concept of the IFC viewer. So if you log in like RenoZEB, there is, well, this is the Durango demo project that we have been working in the project, and also the Boru demo. So we have just explained this to you. So in the case of Durango, we have all the information here that, well, we will see later on. I think that for this training session, this project is quite simple, and we can see all the aspects of the BIM viewer here better. So because we have created some 5 models that represent different aspects of a project, and also about the viewer. For example, we have here a BIM model that represents the project before renovation. This is in fact the one for Durango, I think. The one after renovation, and also the contextualized urban model, one with some energy simulations and so on. So if we open this one, we see this is the Durango demo building. So which, yeah, I think is this one. So it's, so the real building is yeah, is this one, the one that is being renovated. And with the BIM viewer, we provide like a way to look to the building, and you can navigate through the different aspects of the building, the different floors and layers and so on. You can select which elements you want to visualize. For example, you can just hide the roof or these devices, or even hide the spaces to look in the interior of the building. And well, instead of clicking in the file, you could also here in the viewer add new models. So we can support multiple views in the same viewer. For example, all the available files in the project. For example, I will click in the after renovation file, and we have two options: replace the one already in the model, or just add this new model to the scene. If we select this one now, we can just see in the model these two different aspects. So the before renovation, after renovation. So this is the after renovation structure that has been created with SIP tools using the Foci panel. So Anne will explain you later in the SIP tools how this renovation model has been created. But here in this viewer, you can just view the two things at the same time. Also, we could add, for example, the urban model, which is an IFC we have created with some simplified blocks, which represent the surrounding of a Durango model. Well, there is a little error here that this building should be placed in this position, but this is because the orientation has not been properly introduced. But okay, in a real situation, this building will be just here on top of that. This is the simplified visualization of Durango building, and well, this is the district visualization. And here we have the different options that we can do with the different models. One thing that we can do is to generate different visualizations of different properties in the IFC. For example, we select if we select the urban model. I don't know. Let's start again from. Sorry. Once you click on a model, it tells you which are the elements in the IFC, or which are the properties that you can query, and you select well, we have to put it in English, this one. You select which property you have to analyze or you want to analyze. For example, in this case, the number of stories of each building, and well, you can automatically create a kind of visualization like this, or you can also manually define which color range you want to apply. For example, for the, I don't know if you have here the year of no, the year of construction. No, I don't know. Well, in any case, you can select here that you want to create 5 colors or 5 ranges, and starting from this one and ending with this one. It doesn't really work. I don't know. This one is not really. No, it doesn't work properly. This one, but well, let's try with another example. For example, let's go, for example, to the before renovation model here, and let's explore the spaces by, well, which one is external or not. So when the value is a yes or no value, automatically it creates green and red colors. For Of course, this information must be already in the BIM model, so we are not just inventing new information here. So this should have been calculated by any other tool. Or for example, the space by area. For example, the small ones red and the big ones in green. And so if you click here, yes, you reset the coloring. And also this tool here, it's a filtering tool where you can select, it works for numbers and also for text. So for numbers, for example, you can say, okay, identify me the spaces that, yeah, I don't know, that the area is higher than 5. Sometimes it happens. Well, in any case, let's go, for example, let's go for another model, which this is, imagine that we have an energy simulation that has been calculated and the values have been entered into the model. For example, this model is contains, well, this is not the Durango model, it's another one, but in any case, to show, for example, the idea of how we can just introduce information of energy calculations in given spaces. And yeah, we can color them by their heating demand. So yeah, in this case, we will do the opposite. So we will start in green is good and yeah, red is bad. And yeah, so you get it here. So yeah, what we are seeing here, or we demonstrating here, is how we can collaborate in different decision making and different aspects of the model using IFC as a driver. And of course, for the next steps of the tool or the platform, we will also like to make some of this calculation automatically connected to the platform, so that if you calculate some values for the rooms, if you calculate costs, if you calculate something, automatically it is imported into the model. So we are also working right now in functionalities like this one. At this moment, the collaboration works somehow. It relies on user-driven or manual collaboration. So each user has to upload the different information manually and then yeah, put in the appropriate place here, and then you can go to the KPI calculation, so comparison to the viewer, and make all this analysis, let's say, manually. But the idea is that in the future, all these things could be also somehow calculated or automated. Even here, well, this project has no, for example, scenarios, but if you go to the Durango demo, the idea is that in the future, in future evolutions, instead of defining manually different alternatives and introducing here the models and the information, the tool could also suggest you, based on starting a current situation and what type of building you have, what type of materials and so on, that it could automatically create some suggested alternatives for you. So for sure, the automation is that one thing that we have in mind in all the functionalities of the platform, but at this moment, we have not yet reached that case. I think that more or less it's everything explained. Well, we also we are going to see now also a way on how we see that different tools in the project could be integrated in the same platform. For example, we have done this with the monitoring system, which is not really a tool here developed in the platform, but it's a tool that is developed in RenoZEB project by another partner in the project, a monitoring system tool. So what we can do is that, for example, it covers really this management phase here. So this part here where we can see this tool. So, and the idea is that if you are working on that phase of the project, you can click here and also access all the information of that tool here directly from the platform. One thing that we are also working on, because, well, you know that this is, so these projects are European research projects, and there are different projects in different topics working more or less in parallel. So we are also working in other, let's say, parallel or sister projects that are dealing with these aspects or digitalization of the current situation for renovation and so on. So one of the things that we see that it's very beneficial for both of the projects and for the users is how to integrate developments of different projects together. For example, in another, we have seen here that in RenoZEB we support the users in how to see and compare different models before and after renovation, before simulation and after, and even the urban models. But now what we are working in other projects, in this case, in a parallel, in a sister project called Bean for Ren, also what we are working is in how we could, for an existing situation or for a preliminary decision making, how we could create automatically a preliminary model of our current situation. So that will, so the idea is that, for example, in a preliminary decision making, when you don't know anything yet about the project or the situation, you could create an easy or simplified BIM model to make the preliminary simulations, analysis, or even quantity takeouts for panels and so on. And if you are happy with that, then go to the design phase where you design the real detailed BIM model and so on. So it allows to start with a preliminary fast way to create digital models. So what we have created there, and you can also access in that utils or utilities tab here, it's a way, well, also we can create this district model starting from the GIS, but I am not showing it. So the output of that will be, this is the Durango model we have shown it before, the urban model. So what we can do here is create a BIM model specifying some parameters, the shape, number of stories, location, and so on. Or if this model is already belongs to an already digital model that we have to the district, for example, the Durango building is this one as we have seen it. What we can do is here that we are going to integrate with an urban model. We select here. Okay, this is the urban model that I want to integrate. Well, this is not necessary because the shape is automatically detected from the model, and I have to click here in the building identifier. This. I don't know, 3 stories, I think. 3, and I think it's 3.2. By default, the thickness of the different elements is created, but you can just change, even say that my roof is not flat, it has 2 sides, and yeah, the different sizes of windows in the different locations. I think that the Durango building has no windows in north and south, so no, and we can create just medium and small, for example. Okay, in any case, yeah, and we could create the model from here. Yeah, finished. So the result is a new IFC. we have created. This one has been automatically created. I don't know why the year reference version is not working right now, but well, the idea is that you can just create at these states a very simplified model, even locate in a map in a location, and then you should have for a very preliminary decision making. You can already have a bin model here to upload to the platform and compare it to the rest. So I think that with this, all my presentation is already finished. I don't know that. I think that I have not missed anything to explain, but yeah. Yeah, I think that we still have 20 minutes, so what I will do is just finish my presentation. I think that you can. I will give the floor again to Larissa, and we will have to answer some Slido questions. I think you will see the questions in your screen right now. Of course, if you want to just ask anything, just put it in the chat, and so on.
Yes,
there is a question about IFC here. Excuse me. I think that yeah, when we are perhaps we have not explained what is IFC. IFC is just the open format for the bin model. Sorry for that. So it's just you have different tools like Revit or ArchiCAD or any proprietary tools that create a bin model, but IFC is like an standard way that you use to share the bin models with, and you can open with free tools. No need to use licenses and so on. So one of the key aspects in RenoZEB is that everything we do here is based on free formats, so that not to force the user to use a particular simulation tool, a particular design tool, but to rely on neutral formats.
Asier, would you like to run the Slido questions now, or would you like to answer the questions already in the chat box?
Yeah, perhaps I will just finish with this chat. Yeah, there is also a question about resources. Yeah, when we were talking about resources, we mean that any kind of file. So resources are the bin files, the documents, PDFs, Excel. So it's any kind of information or document associated to a renovation project. So it's you can call it files if you want. It's the same.
So then we have, yeah, it's a lot of questions coming in.
Well, I will just answer the final question. There is a user, yeah, there is a question about the appearance criteria. Of course, yeah, when we are comparing KPIs in this chart, of course, some of the criteria might be quite subjective because, yeah, if the building appearance is good, bad, or enough, or it's not so good looking, it's something subjective. So at this moment, what we do is just to allow the user the possibility of defining, for me, this alternative is good, or for me, in the case it would be for the client or for the final user of the building, and manually you put this is beautiful, this is not so beautiful, and you score it. But of course, with the energy, you can have some tools that calculate the energy consumption or the cost, but of course you don't have tools to calculate the appearance. It's something that you manually you can put it and compare, but of course it's something subjective. Yeah. Okay, so we can just go to the Slido questions if you wish.
Yes, you can change the slides.
I can change myself, yeah. So yeah, thank you. So this is the first question about the platform. So we have seen, well, in less than 1 hour. We have to do it a quick overview about all the functionalities, so we have not shown everything in detail, but of course we have seen some of the aspects covered, like user collaboration, the possibility to create scenarios and to compare scenarios and KPIs, the file management aspects, the integration of BIM keys, the possibility of querying, of auditing, of coloring BIM models. So you have to give some points of scores to this. Select the ones that you consider that for a real decision-making process, considering that we are focused on renovation of buildings. That what you consider that is the most relevant functionalities, so functionalities that cover aspects that today are not so well covered by the tools existing in the market. Yeah, these questions and your answers, of course, help also us to understand if we are going in the right direction implementing such and such functionality, or if we have to put the focus on one aspect more than other aspects. Yeah, for the moment, it seems that the winning one is the decision-making part, the ability of create, compare scenarios and KPIs. Yeah, also the general aspects about the workflow and the integration of models in BIM, GIS, and so on. So 11 answers up to now. In any case, if you find any other thing about the platform or anything, okay, I consider that it should be a beneficial aspect to consider and so on, we will have some free questions after on for you to answer, or even before, or sorry, even after this presentation, you could just also contact us by email, by any channel, and okay, once you try it, say, okay, I see that this aspect could be more beneficial than that, you can improve that in that way, so on. So definitely with the number of answers we have reached up to now, it seems that all the aspects about the decision making, the comparison of alternatives and so on, and are really relevant for most of you. Yeah, the integration of scale, so the building with the neighborhood and the workflow support are the next ones. So okay, we have more or less more than half of the people answering, so we can just switch to the next one, please. Myself? No. Yeah. Yeah, this question is quite related to the previous one. So as we have been talking, the platform is a living software, so we are continuously making progress, making new functionalities. Even there are some other projects that we are working on that could fit this platform with new functionalities, new evolution. So between these alternatives here, you have to select which ones you consider that are the ones that we should be working more in the future. The first one is one that we have already mentioned, the possibility to have an assistant instead of doing manually all the scenarios to assist you in. You can create this and this alternative, or you can test this one, so on. Also aspects about interoperability between tools. Yeah, answers are, this is constantly changing, but it seems that the assistant seems to be the winning one for now. Yeah, also the workflow management, so to have a control about who creates a document, who validates an aspect or an action or a document, etc. It's something worth to consider in the future. Okay, so perhaps enough answers right now. So the next question is just, yeah, it's related to the previous one, because some of you already answered that you would like to have better interoperability with other tools. So to import, export information in the platform from external tools. So here you can enter just manually. I think that you can just put free text, everything you want. So what you would like to consider in the future. So I would like to, I don't know, make a connect automatically to budget calculation or to, well, to calculation of appearance. No, because we have seen it that cannot be easily calculated, but anything that you consider worth here. It's just free text. If you, it's no options here. It's just you can put everything you want. Okay, costs, PHP, Revit. Okay, in the case of Revit, well, as we have just mentioned, Revit also imports and exports IFC files. So the files that we have been seeing in the platform, you can download the file and open it with Revit in principle. So that already should be working. Of course, not all tools support IFC in the same way, and sometimes there are problems, but in principle, it should be possible. Cost calculations, PHP, yeah. SketchUp, yeah. So for a preliminary design, yeah. Daylight also, yeah. So tools for decision makers, Trello, Claro Cats. Well, I don't know Claro Cats, but it seems like a project management tool like Trello. Yeah, 7 answers right now, 8. So yeah. Yeah, most of them seem about tools related to make calculations of different scenarios. So mostly for energy and yeah, PHP, PAV, or daily calculation. So some of them we are seeing also in SciPy's presentation, because they already have tools for energy simulation. So we have tested their tools with the models in our platform from Durango and Boru models. So energy simulation has already been considered in the project, but yeah, at this moment, for example, daily calculation, I think that we have not done it yet. Okay, I think that's yeah, we have already enough answers, so you can just move on next, please. I think, well, this one is not about tools in general, but about functionalities in a more broad aspect. So we have seen functionalities related to scenario comparison, project management, etc. So if you see that some other functionality or some other, let's say, some other button or tab in the platform is you find it necessary for a renovation project, any kind of functionality, any aspect, any just free answer, you can just mention it here. So in any of the phases of the project. So I would like to support this in the design phase or in the construction phase, or for a preliminary decision phase. I would like this functionality, or well, it's also free text. So feel free to put it here, or you could also put it in the chat, or after this session, you could just send us an email. Oh, I have just considered better. And yeah, we are, about data visualization, we are working also in how to present data in charts in more different friendly ways. Yeah, of course, as one user is answering, when you have the opportunity to look more into detail, more ideas will come up, of course. sunlight, daylight aspects. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think that we have just enough for the moment, because just we are running almost out of time. So we have only 3 minutes left, but we can just close here this session. If you have any, LCA, LCC, yeah, of course. If you have any other questions or something that you will just want to speak right now, you can just unmute and tell. But of course, after all the sessions, at the end of the day, or we will have some open session, just discussion. So perhaps some specific aspects we can move to the final session also.
Hi, Asier. I can moderate the last questions for you. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. I will start from the beginning. So Margherita Finamore, she asked, could you give an example to understand the relation between KPIs and target?
Yeah, the KPI is, well, KPI is something that you measure. So the energy consumption, the cost is something that you can put usually a number, or the consumption is 10, 20, or 30. The target is your objective. So a building owner can have a target about, I want my energy to be lower than 50 kilowatts, or I want my cost no more than 1,000 euros. So this is like the objective you have for your project. Of course, then the reality could be that your real project or your real alternative is cheaper, is more expensive, so the real value can be higher or lower. But the target is like your objective, and you can just visualize in the chart if you are reaching the target or no in each of the alternatives. Of course, the target is something that is set up by the project or the building owner. Sometimes could be some mandatory rule. You can have a target imposed by the government for energy reduction in renovation or whatever, but some target could be just the building owner has some objectives for the building.
Okay, then I'm not sure if you replied this already, but I will ask anyway. So Julie Fernandez, she asked, can we find somewhere the definition of all the targets to be able to fill in the right values in the case?
Yeah, well, I am not sure if I can answer myself, or perhaps, I don't know if Michele, if in the methodology part, there was a deep analysis about the KPIs applicable in a renovation project. So I guess that in that kind of documentation, some values about the typical values, the typical targets, or the expected values for these KPIs were already mentioned or documented, I think. So
indeed, yes, we did this exercise in working package 2. The coordinator of this is University of Salford University in UK. Yes, we identified the most important KPIs, and from that point we created this methodology. But again, these KPIs could be increased in a new version or in new editing. So the day of tomorrow we can even improve or enlarge the application anyway. So this is something that could be done with less effort, I mean.
Okay, moving on, we have a question from Camilo Pais about license, software license. If we are avoiding, I'm not sure if I understand, but I think it's something that if we are avoiding software license. Camilo, would you like to clarify your question?
Hello, yes. My question is if in the proposed process on the RenoZEB platform, you are able to not to use any Revit, Archicad, or other licensed software.
Yeah, so what we have just shown is, well, as you have seen, is based on open format, so we use IFC. Of course, Revit and other, so there are a lot of tools in the building sector for design, for analysis, for budgets, and so on, that use different type of files. Some of these software tools are proprietary, you have to pay it, some of them are for free. So what we do is we use a free format that can be imported and exported from many different tools. So the user is free in any project to choose which tools they want to use for creating their designs or their calculations. So some users could use tools like Revit or any tools with licenses, or they could use any free tool that generates IFC. So it's their decision. So, but in principle, we could run all the process with free tools if needed. Yeah.
Okay, then I think we go back to the question about the KPIs. So Selma Harrington, she is asking, could you comment on the compatibility of KPIs with national building performance standards? Is there any connection, any relation between KPIs and national building performance standards?
No, I think that this question, or my answer, will be very closely related to the one that I gave before. So what we provide is a way to define and compare KPIs in a free way, so you can put any kind of target, any kind of value, but of course also, as Michele said, you can use the recommendations of the regulations that any administration gives, or you can also use the typical values in each country for each building to put your targets in the platform. So it's here up to the user to let's say, to look for these values and to enter these values in the platform. So at this moment, the platform automatically, it doesn't suggest, okay, since you are in Belgium, you have to use this value, and no, we don't do it at this moment.
Okay, then we have a feedback from Margherita Finamore. She said, well, there's nothing related to financial resources, so perhaps this is feedback for the tool. And then we have Selma, I think also with a feedback. In your workflow, the building condition survey and assessment is not considered clearly, nor the role of the architect in it. So I don't know, would you like to comment on it, or should I move on?
Yeah, well, if I understand correctly, yeah, for the current situation, you can, of course, upload your model that you have created after a survey or after a scanning process, and well, we have in fact done it so in Durango with the Durango model and the SIP tools. But of course, if you mean about having in the platform a kind of questionnaire or something that you can answer some questions about the current situation of the building, the location, and so on, yes, we have identified that is something that it's missing, and we have to improve a little bit how to enter information directly in the platform, or even in the BIM model, just to put information that you could just pick on site after a visit or whatever. But yeah.
Okay, and then I guess a last question from Julie Fernandez. So is there a focus on ecological materials?
I am not sure if I understood properly. If you mean that when you create your alternatives or your renovation, the platform gives you an let's say an indication about you should use this and this material. Up to now is not considered, but of course there was in the previous question about the idea of having a renovation assistant to guide you of what to do in the current situation. we could just consider also this aspect about please you could consider this materials for renovation and so on.
Okay, we still have 8 minutes left. So
yeah.
if I guess we went through all the questions. Selma comment on the building regulations again and standards and targets. I guess we already covered that. But if anyone has any other questions or would like to make a comment or speak, please, this is the opportunity.
Yes, can I just say something, Selma Harrington?
Sure.
Hello. Yes, thank
Hello.
you, and thank you for taking the questions. But I would just sort of like to reiterate, I think it is important in your workflow where you are kind of plotting the roles in this renovation project. I know that the project aims are sort of focused on property owners who may be positioned to, you know, be the leaders of this process. But however, you know, there is a role of profession and there are standards that the profession upholds, and they can be architects, quantity surveyors, and so on that engineers on the so I think somewhere it is important not to give the impression that anything is possible. So the building owner, once he controls software, or the client who controls the team or project manager, that anything is possible, so that the targets can be set to the minimum because it's maybe cost effective. Because you have to take somewhere cognizance that there are building standards which are related to climatic conditions and building performance in each country. And then there are professions that need to be involved at different stages. And I strongly recommend that you review, even in the workflow, is there a role of architect in the planning phase? Because it hasn't been clearly presented. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Yeah, for sure. What we have presented is a platform where, yeah, in different phases, all the actors can collaborate, or just you can decide who participates where. But of course, the idea of the roles of each actor and how they are involved in each phase has been already covered in the more methodological parts of the RenoZEB project. But and for the implementation part, we have at this moment put it like a more free platform. But of course, in the future evolution, we could put the workflow more like as a guided workflow, where from the beginning you can so the way you identify the users for each phase and what they can do, it's more restricted or more guided or more, let's say, assisted, and no so free. So yeah.
So yeah, we are almost there. We have 3 minutes left. Just one more comment from Camilo Pais. So he's saying that the name of resources tab may be ambiguous. So perhaps, Camilo, would you like to add anything else?
No, just because I saw the question raised before, and yes, it's just to clarify, if you may clarify to.
Yeah, you can change it to files, and it's better. Yeah, perhaps resources is like any kind of file, document, model, anything. So we could just rename to file or file management, and it's better understandable. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so if we don't have any questions and no comments.
I may just add a comment, if I may, about the architect not being in the planning phase. I understand that this is like every project is different, and oftentimes in the planning phase, it could refer to the moment when the client and the owner are just reflecting on the project, and maybe there is not an architect being called yet. So this is a previous phase before integrating or contracting an architect. That's maybe why the schemes were not portrayed, but there is also a planning phase with the conception team, architect, and other consultants that could be different planning phase, and I think the platform allows it to have these progressive phases.
Yes, but you have reduced then the architect to, because in the planning phase, you have shown many decisions taken and the models drawn and shown and condition assessed without actually having an architect. Then that client who has done that with your software will have to go to the local authority and apply for building or planning permission, depending on different countries. Therefore, don't get me wrong. I think you're trying to assess the whole process and leave it open, and that's the way it should be. But I think the scenario could be better served to sort of show the complexity of even of that initial stage of assessment, where there has to be a professional input in the client's decision, and that can be done by the architect even before it can't be done just by a project or BIM manager. That is my point.
Yes, and I think ACE is very prone to promote the quality of the projects, and I understand your point completely. It's important to consider.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a really interesting discussion. Asier, if you do not have anything to add now.
Sorry, Michele here. I have something
Yes.
to add to the comment of the comment before about introducing some rules or supporting the decision taking during in this platform related, for example, to the sustainability of the renovation of the building. Yes, I understand the comment, and but from our point of view, this platform is like a support for the management. We didn't like to limitate or make any limit for architect creativity. For example, if you would like to use biomaterial or sustainable solution for the building retrofitting, for us is okay, and could be introduced into the management through the platform. But the comment that has been raised before is very good, because actually we talked about that, and actually, just to let the things clear, we are going to create a knowledge-based like guideline in the last task of working package 2, and we are going to create something like a supporting decision-making process for the real estate industry. And in that case, we will also consider this the green solution into this decision-making process. So like suggestion, and in this case, these are information that could be used by designer architects as well, that could be also exploited in their renovation process. And yeah, this is like a parallel activity with the platform as well. So thank you for the comment, and just let you know that we will work on it in our decision-making methodology that are coming toward the end of the project. Thank you.
Okay, I guess now we finished the discussion for the morning. We will have another presentation at 11:45. So yeah, let's have a coffee break. Thank you.